You do have the advantage. You know, you do help out. I think most specifically your Vengeance Blood deck, you help out as much as you can. I think on the other side, you do want to kind of avoid the matchup of having to play Haven into the Forestcraft deck.
Yes.
After what we saw there,
right.
It seems very tough to justify throwing down your Heavenly Knight.
And from what we can see, both Forestcrafts being let through, Shadowcraft and Runecraft being banned out. So, Azuru did allow for this matchup to possibly happen of his Havencraft going up against a Forestcraft deck. Now, them pairing their Forestcraft decks up at the beginning means that maybe that will actually get side-skirted. So, we'll see here.
Rune and Shadow banned. That means Himari and Azuru kick off their match here, thinking about their mulligans. Each kind of really considering. I think the mirror match is important to kind of think through this. Azuru doesn't have a bad mulligan, right? In many ways, like guaranteeing the White Wolf.
Yeah, I think you keep White Wolf in the mirror because it's just like the Havencraft mirror, right? You have to have your specific drops by the end of the game in order to win fast enough.
And I think that's especially good for Azuru to do because he is on the play.
Absolutely. White Wolf on the play is about as good as you can get. And however, if Himari can play around it well enough, maybe he can get his White Wolf to pop first or something like that. So it really comes down to like a true testament of knowing this matchup when you get to the later rounds.
And that's you know what we're gonna see, the White Wolf drawn for Himari as well. So both of them are gonna have peace of mind that they have the options they need.
That's right. Now the big edge is who can establish board presence first to get those couple points of damage in, just to set the tone for the rest of the game.
I really like for Himari how he's kept a lot of removal here. That's really going to avoid this Wood of Brambles. And Wood of Brambles on the play, right, is very, very powerful.
Right. And honestly, that's exactly what you should do with Forestcraft. If you're on the play, go for the board positive plays. And we could even see the Insect Lord being rushed out here for just more stuff to hit the board with that Wood of Brambles on a following turn. And if you're on the draw, you need to have your reactive cards so that you can play around what your opponent's doing. I think both players basically executing exactly what they need to do on both sides.
Yep. Insect Lord, because it counts itself as a card played, will be able to just immediately affect the board in Elfchild May-esque fashion.
That's right. Costs a little bit more. We miss Elfchild May.
Yeah.
We do.
Easy.
Elfchild May, of course, the old Insect Lord that only did one, but only cost one.
And also random for both of them. So Elfchild May had a little arrow, whereas the Insect Lord vomits or pukes or...
Yeah, I think he sprays gnats at you. Insects.
Gross.
Something like that, yeah.
Gross.
What does that smell like, do you think? Like a swarm of gnats.
It probably smells like fairies.
What? Are you... What did you just call fairies? You just call them gnats? Wow. Wow.
I mean, it's green. They're green dots.
I guess,
fairies are green. They have wings. They fly.
So Tinkerbell is a gnat to you? Just some annoyance?
Maybe. I don't know. Is Tinkerbell annoying? I can barely remember these stories.
Okay. All right. All right, Rainy. Not a friend to the Fae folk is Rainy. Remember that.
Hey, just because they're gnats doesn't mean I don't like them. What if I like gnats?
Come on. Now you're stretching.
You're right.
All right. So Azuru, on the proactive game plan, is going to get some damage in here. Unfortunately, there's not really much to do after this turn. He might even hold these fairies. Might even not go to the board anymore to just hold up for these Cassiopeias.
I honestly could see a world where everybody just passes until they get to their life.
I mean, that's kind of like what this matchup is. I mean, the only thing that the deck is built to do in the early game is to be reactive or to force through just a couple points of damage in the early game. Yeah, trade boards. Get to the late game.
Yeah, more nothings being drawn. The big thing for Himari is he's drawing cards that can kind of help his hand size grow. Whereas Azuru, I mean, the fairies are definitely increasing your hand size, but they're kind of...
They don't really do much.
Yeah.
They will help another Insect Lord if you happen to draw one. Something like that. But, you know, that's all they really need to do is keep your hand size high.
I suppose in this scenario you would much rather see something like a Venus, right? Because it keeps your hand size and helps you kind of accelerate your card advantage towards the late game.
And it's massive. It forces an answer. Like, if you let a Venus through, I mean, that could be potentially 6 damage to face, which definitely sets up for the end game.
Himari thinking very hard about his turn. I don't blame him.
No, this is a tough matchup. This is like how literally, like, I would actually be spending my turns not even thinking about the plays this turn. It's just, okay, and as much time as I could on every one of these turns. On turn 8, 9, and 10, what is the sequence of plays that will get me to a victory?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's good to think about that, right? Like, if my opponent plays this, what do I do? If my opponent plays this, what do I do?
What's interesting to me is both of them actually have Crystalia Lily in hand. That means that if there's a White Wolf that survives a turn, that could be shut off.
That's right. Turn off, and that will force you to draw Elephant and Loki again. Things like that. So in that scenario, Azuru is a little ahead because he has the King Elephant in hand already.
That's right.
And I like the board flood this turn from Himari. This is a turn before Cassiopeia, so this will allow him to trade for board, as well as get some damage in.
I'm gonna rest for a bit.
Yeah. There's not a lot of good plays, and I think you just pass.
Yeah,
Just
you
hold
gotta.
cards in hand.
Unfortunately, everything for Forest doesn't really start until turn 6. You know, the early game is Wood of Brambles. You know, that's about it.
That's
After
it.
Wood of Brambles, that's why they play the Starry Elf, because that's what they got to get to.
Yeah.
After that, it's just big haymakers on turn 6 plus.
Yep. And Wood of Brambles can get you pretty far. The interesting thing is, I think in any other scenario, Azuru would probably be struggling against a blood deck in this scenario, right? Just with this specific hand that he drew.
And I've got to say that a big reason why I think a lot of these Forest decks and a lot of these Haven decks are making it so far is because we are not seeing aggressive, like, you know, try-aggressive lineups from any of our players. You know what I mean? That's a huge thing that we just haven't seen at all, I feel like, in the last couple of weeks. Just people just trying to go, you know, ham.
Where is the ham?
Right. It's turned into Happy Pig. Everybody slowed it down. That's what happened.
Happy Pig!
Oh, come on!
Happy Pig's like, look, we're gonna play this to the late game. You know, no reason to go hard.
Yeah. Let's just take it slow, take it easy.
And just a refreshing reminder of what Happy Pig looks like.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Wow. What a cutie. Happy Pig. All right. So do you play your Cassie?
I think this is where you start the chain, right? I mean, any of the other plays, just get cards out of your hand. You could go with a Starry Elf play into a Wood of Brambles and try to get back that way. I just don't think that's fast enough to recover the amount of damage that these fairies across the table are going to deal. And there's not really a downside to playing the Cassiopeia.
Yeah.
It'll force at least a removal card or an Evo or something out of your opponent to just kind of start the back and forth here.
That is the choice. And pass. Himari now has 2 Crystalia Lilies and a Jungle Warden. Interesting.
Jungle Warden, great. Again, another one of those late game options to help the King Elephant do as much damage as it possibly can. Zero cost Elephant on top of a Jungle Warden is massive damage.
Yes. Yeah, very similar. There's multiple ways to arrive at that scenario, right? Whether that be King Elephant into Jungle Warden, or King Elephant into King Elephant,
Loki.
or Loki.
Lots of ways to
I
do
suppose I've never really thought about Loki Jungle Warden. Does that just make 4 Jungle Wardens?
it. It wouldn't make 4. It would make 3.
Oh yeah, that's right, because it just replicates the one effect but does not actually play another Jungle Warden.
Right.
Yeah.
That's still pretty good. And honestly, it's really good with Aaron too. You know what I mean? There are a lot of good uses for it. However,
double evolution orb.
by that time, if you're not using it on your end game, win condition, you're probably losing the game.
Loki Elf Queen though, do not recommend. Would not highly do not recommend.
Do not recommend.
There's a history. Loki Elf Queen is a no-no.
Yeah, don't do that.
I mean, you could.
You
I
could,
suppose.
but the shadows are gone. You don't gain any extra defense. That's not quite that good.
All right, so we're getting to the point. Wow. If you play nothing to board, you guarantee you're a White Wolf. If you
I
play
think that's
nothing
the
to
play,
board,
actually.
well, that I feel like that's a big opportunity because your White Wolf gets traded out too. You know, what is your opponent gonna do? Just play a White Wolf?
Right, I think the consideration that Azuru is thinking is that if I do leave this in play, that is an additional up to, 4 damage that I'm taking, and it might make his combo a little bit easier. I'm at 18. Of course, we know what the thresholds are, right? It's 17 plus Evo is 19.
To be fair, I think the fact that he's on the play means that you're okay with that, You know that your opponent cannot go faster than you. If he does not have a White Wolf happen, there is no turn 9 combo.
That's true.
Then you get to turn 10, and you have the combo.
That's true. However, if Loki and... Well, yeah, you're right. There's no way to actually turn 9 it without getting the White Wolf off. Yep.
So I think that was actually, awkwardly enough, another pass play. But...
And now, if Himari thinks the same way, he has a guaranteed turn 10 play. But it looks like he's going to give up that advantage too.
So really what this game is developing in the direction, now that the opportunity is lost, you really basically are just trying to draw for Loki here. That's the race.
That is the race. Now, it really depends, though. Does Azuru or Himari play anything after this turn, going into the White Wolf turn, that can actually trade with it? That's the question. Now, it's interesting to me, like you said, though, just thinking about not trading. Just letting it live so that you can have something to trade your White Wolf into.
There's no way to bounce. There's no way to bounce the fairy because there's no Nature's Guidance, right? So, and all of these cards just kind of hurt you. You absolutely do not want to give your opponent the opportunity to White Wolf.
Lilac, not a good play. Cassiopeia with Wood of Brambles in play, not a good play here. Crystallia Lily you could play, but it doesn't do anything here. White Wolf, if you play, it gets lilied. Yeah. So without actually setting up something for the White Wolf to run into from either of these players, we might just see a game come down to who can draw more King Elephants or a Loki first.
A second White Wolf. I don't know if that's actually very impactful.
I like the second one. That means that you do have one to try to throw away.
Yeah. To try to see what happens, right? Such an interesting game.
Yeah.
Such an interesting game.
How do you play around? How do you play through? What's the end game look like? Yeah, I think you do go for the White Wolf here. I don't think you want to play anything else. You could play an Aaron here, but meh. However, if you do play the White Wolf here, it does give your opponent an option to jam into the White Wolf, but you get the White Wolf draw first.
Yes, you get that first. And so it's gambling whether there's Loki on the field.
Right.
And with this many cards on the table, that you will get a 20 plus.
Yeah.
Especially with evolution. And this is gonna, you have to just transform the White Wolf.
I like it. The only White Wolf target to ram into is my own White Wolf. You want to take that trade, buddy?
Actually, he can throw his White Wolf in to the fairy because of Wood of Brambles.
Oh, that's right. The evolved fairy.
But can he live?
He can't Lily.
Yeah. Can he live after that? That, to me, that's the question. If you survive one turn, the game is over, right? So as long as what's on board is not lethal, you're fine.
So if he rams in, there's 5, 6, 7, 8 possible with an extra
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's right.
Yeah.
But you can also remove one of the fairies.
Yeah, I don't think there's lethal. Not on turn 9.
So I think the play is to White Wolf and run it into the evolved fairy.
Now, the real question is, though, if that happens, then Aaron becomes a response play to push you back up to 19, and then it's not guaranteed lethal.
It is, because you get double elephant, right?
Right, but double elephant isn't necessarily
elephant with
19.
The evolve? Is that over 20?
With the evolve, it might be.
Yeah. Wow, and he didn't take the play again.
Interesting. This turn, I actually don't know why he didn't go for the play. This will allow Himari to actually just play out a Jungle Warden here, and just actually start going into his late game, but with a much more consistent end game. Like I'm startled.
Yeah, if he plays a Jungle Warden here, the White Wolf either does not clear the Jungle Warden or evolves and survives.
Right.
If you just Elephant 2, that's still not good because then you get Jungle Warden and Elephanted back.
Yeah, I think it's just trade Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Jungle Warden's not live yet.
Well, even if you get the 4/5 Jungle Warden, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are the responses that he has?
I mean, he
It's,
could just
it's
play
definitely not
Cassiopeia.
anything around White Wolf or Elephant, right? Because if you White Wolf, you don't actually take down the Jungle Warden, and you do get that 0 cost, but it's going to be your opponent's turn on turn 10 first. So he's going to swing with the Jungle Warden and whatever else he has, plus the Elephant on his turn.
It's true. Putting up the Aaron, though, does get him back to 19.
I actually think Azuru not going for the combo is getting himself into a worse and worse spot just by nature of these cards swinging at him. He might actually just die to
A Jungle Warden next turn.
a Jungle Warden or even just an Elephant to
Yeah.
go through whatever, right?
Absolutely. I think you're right. I think Azuru played himself out of this game by just denying every chance he had at a White Wolf push.
Uh-oh.
This match is super complex.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take anything away from these players.
Yeah.
I mean, these are hard decisions. But I mean, we get to see every,
Yeah.
all the information.
All the cards, we get to kind of weigh the options both ways. But this is really rough. And this is
That's
I
gonna
think
seal
that's
it.
the game.
That's the game. There's no way to actually block a Jungle Warden play next turn.
3+1 in any combo. He can throw down the Jungle Warden, he can throw down the Elephant, he can throw down this top deck second Elephant.
Yeah. No, Loki's coming off the top for sure.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
You
About time
are
we see
right.
one.
Or maybe not.
Just to cover our bases. Yeah, maybe not.
just to cover. Just to cover. Yeah, it was a pure-hearted. There it is.
Himari really doing his due diligence, being on the draw in this
Yeah.
matchup and just getting there.
I actually think that's strange. I mean, Himari obviously was not thinking about that either, right? Because he provided 2 opportunities for the
Yeah.
White Wolf to swing in.
That's right. But he did it in such a way that it was really hard to actually utilize correctly. But both players knocking each other's chances of getting into White Wolf turns on turn 8. I just find it very odd. But Himari come out on top of that just by making the right endgame choices at the right time.
Yeah. I think the big key there was Himari able to constantly just swing. And, Azuru didn't have good options in the sense that he just had a bunch of fairies most of the time, right? Whereas Himari was able to construct the board and keep that board and go wide.
But it's interesting to note that Azuru did have the proactive plays early in the game. He was the one that was chipping first. He was the one that could get to White Wolf first. But Himari,
I don't think he leaned on his strength enough.
Yeah.
Being on the play, do the math, figure out if there is a lethal on the backswing, and if there's not, go for the game-ending play.
Yeah. I mean, it can feel really funky not to do anything for like 3 turns leading up to turn 8. But I mean, if that's the matchup, sometimes you just got to roll those dice.
All right, this is what we're talking about. Vengeance Blood against the White Wolf Forest deck.
And we know, if you're a Shadowverse fan, if you've been playing Shadowverse for a while, you know that the card that Forcecraft does not like to see is Urias. Urias, of course, being this 2-play .13 that deals a damage every time you put a follower into play.
Oh, and using the Sylvan Justice too. That's going to make it even tougher. The big killer is if Urias comes out with a Spiderweb Imp.
Yeah. Gets
That's
protected.
where things gets real shady.
Now, Force does have access to Airbound Barrage these days, where it never had something like that before. But we can see that Azuru does not have it in hand at the moment.
Yeah, and this could quickly get out of hand.
Now, in saying that, Himari doesn't really have that good of a curve here. It doesn't have a Belphegor on 4. Doesn't really have a straightforward 3-drop. Might be a little slow. And again, Elf Queen coming out in the later stages of this game could turn the game around. This is another one of those matchups where a lot of damage could get done quickly.
Yeah.
But if not finished, Elf Queen comes out to basically restore balance.
It does mean that Azuru wants to play as many kind of fairies and shadow generators as he can. Just to make sure that the healing is actually beefy.
That Lilac was great, though. Again, this 4 defense threshold, so hard to get around, is an option to get rid of that Urias without taking too much damage.
Yeah, and there's not going to be a good way to handle a Lilac, so it could certainly remove the Urias here.
But again, I've got to call into question Himari's curve. I don't think Himari's curve looks like the explosive draw you want with Vengeance Blood.
Yeah. There's a lot of cards that are kind of like Lyriel, great card, but very board-centric, right? Angel of the Word is similar. You know, with 3 costs for a 1 damage ping, that's more useful against followers than it is going face.
Right. It can net you that extra damage to close the game out quicker, but you're right. Much more valuable in the early game to trade with followers. Lilac, almost impossible to trade with his hand. As a matter of fact, this turn it is quite impossible.
I mean, I would assume the turn is Angel of the Word face, Furious face.
About it. I mean, you could make a cause for a Razory Claw face and attack face, but I don't think so.
Yeah. I think typically you may as well. Doesn't feel like the pace, the board, or the timing to use burn right now.
The only thing I'm considering is like Angel of the Word plus Lyriel on turn 5 is a pretty good swing play. However, you already have the Spore for 5. So might as well just use your play points most efficiently here. Reason why that's good, of course, because you get the double ping plus an evolve, so you get to spread around a lot of damage on turn 5.
Yes. And that'll be good against Forest, right? The ping is valuable.
Clears off fairy boards. All right, let's see if Himari can draw something. Ooh.
Double Razory Claw.
Well, Lyriel will come down.
Evolve face?
Yeah, I mean, you can evolve face. I think Lyriel evolve over this board is probably a little bit more tempting here. Because, again, you have to be afraid of Wood of Brambles. You haven't seen it early. If it does come down and you don't take care of any of this board, the game could just start running away from you.
Oh, you got me.
Gets another 2. And does he... I mean, I don't think he can board control against a card draw, right? Oh, wow. Okay. That scared me. I thought he was going to go for the Pure-Hearted Singer for a second. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Don't do this. And yeah, still does a little bit of a board clear. Again, probably just figuring, you know, Wood of Brambles can hurt me here.
I think the Venus is such a good card in this scenario. You maintain the cards in hand, making your Cassiopeia stronger, and you produce a big body.
Very good here. Probably will evolve into the Lyriel here. And both of our players so focused right now. They're just like deadpan, like, I'm in this.
I mean, setting the tone of the match with that Forest Mirror is really going to get you thinking.
Right, yeah. It slows everything down. You're just like, okay, every play.
Yeah.
And Azuru definitely taking his time with his turns.
Big things for Himari is that there's no Vengeance activator.
Right.
So, I think that's really tough, right? Especially against a Forest deck that will never, ever, ever activate Vengeance for you because
absolutely not.
There's no reason for them to. They'll just take you down from 20 or whatever it is, right?
Yep. So that's kind of like what hurt Vengeance Blood, I feel like. If in this late game meta, you know, Heavenly Knight really good against Vengeance Blood, as we saw. Forestcraft decks in the late game, really good keeping you outside of Vengeance. If you can't ever put yourself into Vengeance, what kind of an offense can you mount?
Who's going to do it if not you, right? Help yourself. Help us help you. Oh, just as we talked about it. There it is.
There it is. All
right.
The
big thing, though, is it's just, and it's going to have to trade against the Jungle Warden, too, and it's a turn where you're not actually doing significant face damage.
I think this is just a Sabrar turn, and then you go into Belphegor. Like, you can't afford to just play Belphegor, Evo it to trade, not get that much damage to face.
5 Shadows built already for the Forestcraft player. Oh, I didn't even look at the hand. There's double White Wolf already. Yeah. One of the elephants drawn.
Definitely has everything you'd want to see, right? Elf Queen there to reset. You got the White Wolves to get yourself a 0-cost elephant. Got the Cassiopeia to clear boards.
Nothing to be afraid of.
All right, so if Vengeance activates, you can do that and the Razory Claw at the same time. And do it before so you don't lose more health, right?
I want it. It's like gold to me.
Have to do it this turn to set up for the Emeralda turn. You need to start pushing that damage.
The cards off the top weren't very good, but there's still a draw left.
I honestly would have hard considered not using an Evolution Orb on this Belphegor. I don't think it matters too much to leave the Cassiopeia there. And saving those Evolution Orbs to go face. Because if you think about it, 1 Emeralda Evo, 6 damage. If you top deck another Emeralda Evo or a Dark General, that's game.
Yep.
But if the situation goes this way, how do you get that 11 points of damage in before?
That evolution orb is already gone.
Right, it's already gone.
Furious. Now this is the turn where you start needing to you need to think about the White Wolf.
Yep.
Because it could just end on turn 9 without even needing a Loki, because you have activated Vengeance for yourself.
That's right.
And this is what we're talking about when we say this Forest Craft list is going to beat up Vengeance. We certainly did not see an aggressive curve, and the instant that happens, you just start thinking about all the Aarons and the Elf Queens, and we know that Elf Queen is in the hand here. So even if this situation escalates to a point where it gets real strange,
this hand and this matchup, like what we're seeing right now, is just another nod in my mind to just be thinking about possibly adding another Loki to the deck.
I think this particular hand is dangerous, right? If you play the White Wolf here, well, you know that 2 Razor Claws are gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Elf Queen is going to heal you for 7, going to effectively heal you for 6 because of the Urius, right? But that means on the backswing, you've got the Bane on the Scarlet Sabor, +3, plus whatever Storm you could have in hand. From Azuru's perspective, I think you could consider how many Savage Wolves there are. I guess that's maybe 4-ish damage that you could estimate, right?
Yep. I mean, you've already seen 2 Razor Claws, so what's the likelihood that they have another one?
It won't be long now.
Take that into a calculation. You know, Himari's back up to 12, so does have to put himself back into Vengeance, and we saw how hard it was for him the first time. He'll have to top deck something more than likely to actually get there.
I really like this way that he played it. He was able to kind of develop both the followers and spread the stats. This is rough. Putting himself out of Vengeance was real tricky.
Was tricky. I think he still has to develop the Emeralda. He's got to get the damage on board. He's got to end this game quickly.
Yeah.
However, with this much pressure, though, like, Azuru really hasn't been doing that much this game and doesn't really have a board clear option this turn.
So he's going to be able to play the Lily. Oh,
He's just going for it. Got to. I feel it. He's like, all right, buddy.
5, so he needs 4 damage here. And I don't know if there's anything really that can help him.
I mean, he's got it in hand. He just
If he
needs to
gets
put
a
himself into
Razor Claw,
Vengeance.
but he's already spent 2, right?
Spiderweb Imp. All right, that's not an option
that's
anymore.
not an option, yep.
Oh, come on!
Putting to 4, the Urius.
Well, the Urius coming down. Oh, that's not
good
enough. If you play 2 elephants.
That's only 2 damage.
Yep. There it is. And Himari coming very, very close. Was able to actually produce some very scary board states here. And I think a lot of that was because there was no additional Cassiopeias, no additional Aarons, right? The 2 big keys. Okay, good. He swung first.
Yep.
Do not play your elephants back to back.
Do not do that.
There it is. There it is.
Super close match, though. We thought Azuru was just basically ahead the entire time, but it really did come down to a final turn where Himari could top deck.
That's also what I'm talking about with your Elf Queens. Like, if you're relying on the Elf Queen heal, you need to make sure you actually play a bunch of tokens and make sure you're actually doing stuff in the early turns that they can trade out against, because you want to build those
7
shadows.
Wasn't that big. It wasn't. I mean, it was huge, right? Like in the fact that it was
it won
just
the
enough.
game still,
Right. But there is a way out of it, essentially. Now, if you were doing more in the early game and you went back all the way to 20, then you're like, okay, I can't lose.
Yeah.
Much different scenario. And now we get to see Vengeance Blood against Havencraft. Again, we've seen this matchup. It's very close.
Yeah.
Again, it's similar to the Forestcraft matchup, except those Heavenly Knights come out a lot faster than those King Elephants.
Fighting and despair, all you
I think Himari missing out on the Savage Wolves as well was very, very big in that game. He would have much preferred to have that aggressive early curve that we knew he was missing, right? He had, what, like the Lyrial and the Angel of the Word, and...
That's right. As a matter of fact, we haven't seen them in Himari's deck. I'm not sure if he's running them yet.
That's a good point.
I mean, they could not be. I mean, they're running the Angel of the Words now. They're running, different things. I mean, I would assume Savage Wolf is in there.
It's a good card.
It's a good card.
I can't really think of... Do you really not want to draw that off of Baphomet? What are the other reasons why you would not run Savage Wolf?
I don't think there's a big reason not to now. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this can be fine.
Hello.
mean, Azuru's got a curve, and especially, I mean, the Happy Pig you always want to see in this matchup.
Yes. Every little bit. Ooh, the Snarling Chains. This is going to be tough. The Happy Pig is going to come down. It's probably going to get Snarling Chains, and then both are going to go face.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also the Belphegor on turn 4.
Yeah. We've seen Vengeance Blood be pretty good about it. I think last game was the first time we've seen a Belphegor not be drawn pretty early. But, I mean, it's still early enough, right? It was drawn by turn 5.
No Happy Pig, the Nisha instead. And I guess I can see if you want to use a Happy Pig on the Evolve turn.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually, against this deck. Healing for 3, a lot better than healing for 1.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Continue to try to find followers that will provide the most value.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Belphegor right on curve. This is exactly what you want to be doing as this deck.
Sabrur and the Lyriel. The Lyriel on the Evolve turn might be big here.
Yep, just face, face,
Yep.
face.
There's no reason. Your opponent's going to trade the board for you.
Yep. Now, Happy Pig will come down. Anything else to play alongside of it?
The Nisha, I suppose. That's going to curb any kind of Evolve.
Yep.
You were done
Like if a
for.
dark
Face swing,
general was
yeah.
going to be evolved and swing face, something like that, absolutely.
Give it to me again.
Nice. Gets the 3 health, and that might be the. That's a Razor Claw down, right?
Yep. Oh, man. All right, so this hand looking a little different for Himari. Lot of aggressive plays here. However,
I mean, there is a very efficient board trade situation you can go for with a Sabrur. And you have the Razor Claws to put you back into Vengeance if you need. And you're at the 6 play point territory where if Dark General is off the top, you can still play those combos.
that's right.
This thirst.
I might have considered evolving Illyria here to clear the entire board instead of leaving up the option. And also Razor Clawing this turn. It would have provided a little bit more damage this turn.
Just trying to look for cards to draw. Gets the Tribunal off the top. I do think it's good to remove the Sabrur with the Tribunal. You do not want anything else being baned away.
Yeah, it feels awful when you have to evolve into a Sabrur just to like make your plays a little bit better. Sabrur is a very good card. And Bane in general is just a good effect. And a 4 defense follower to stick it to. Very hard to get rid of.
I want it.
I do actually think,
Gold to me.
yeah, there's a lot of removal in the hand of Azuru. I think it's going to be close, but he does have the options he needs to kind of survive. And remember, there's still no Summit Temple as well, so Azuru won't have that 9 damage burst on turn 7, which I feel like you desperately want in this matchup.
You need it in this matchup. 3 damage ticks are not big enough. Still has 1 turn to draw it, though.
He has 1 more globe as well, but it's going to get pretty tight on board space if he does that.
Unfortunately, he has to go for this 50-50. Oh,
Oh,
Crystals of snow shimmer.
and I think he's going to have
This
to be
is
forced to
weird.
evolve.
yeah, evolve for the 2 damage and then get the 2 damage again.
Yeah.
Your
Feels
kiss
bad, but gotta
will
do it.
awaken me.
And Himari, I think, is just going to start snowballing here. He's got double Emeralda, double Razor Claw, Savage Wolf, 2 Evolution Orbs left. This is looking really rough for
Yeah.
Azuru here.
Make sure to not Emeralda the Tribunal, though.
Yeah, don't do this. This ends up very, very unfavorably for you.
Do you go for the Savage Wolf play first?
I think you do. I think you wait on the Emeraldas because of Heavenly Knights. So I think Savage Wolf plus Lyriel plus a Razor Claw this turn, or even a Baphomet, or lead with the Baphomet to card draw first.
Ooh,
Works us to the bone.
yes. I like this.
Mm-hmm.
You may as well evolve. You have 1 more left.
Yep.
And this is a huge turn he has coming up. He can double Razor Claw plus the Dark General for what, 6, 3, 3?
Yeah.
11 damage.
Too much damage. And I think that's going to close the door. I mean, Heavenly Knight is honestly the best play this turn. I mean, Dark John does clear the board, but doesn't put a ward up for you.
Yeah. You need the ward. Is there a way? Oh, okay.
Okay.
I think it's over now.
Yep.
It's over now, and Vengeance Blood will be able to reach past what Havencraft has to offer.
And this is what I'm talking about. So everybody playing these slow decks, you bring a deck out like Neutral Blood, Vengeance Blood, whatever the case may be, and you can just run away with these games.
What's he saying? I'm not learning. I'm not. No,
We're gonna have to get confirmation. You gotta lift it up, Himari.
Himari, I want to know what you have to say to the world. I'm not.
Powers me. I envy you.
There it is. He's going to finish the game. I'm still wondering about that message.
Yeah.
Losers semifinals, and Himari is going to knock Azuru out. And you have to wonder, you know, that forced mirror match, I still am thinking about that. Azuru, I think, could have provided himself a better situation for his Havencraft deck to play twice.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of decisions in that Forest Craft deck, or matchup rather, could have changed wildly on turn after turn.
Yeah.
You know, both of them gave up their options to pop their White Wolf. And then, yeah, he just played himself